The battle began with the sound of screaming metal and overloaded energy systems. Admiral Seung-min gave the order from his flagship. All ships, open fire. 37 Wraith-class warships opened fire at the same time. Their weapons were unlike anything the Federation had ever seen. Instead of normal energy beams or plasma blasts, the human weapons phased through the alien shields as if they weren't there, then exploded inside the enemy ship's hull. On the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, chaos erupted as explosions tore through decks that should have been protected by the ship's powerful shields. "Impossible!" the captain shouted. "Their weapons are passing right through our defenses." Velthar grabbed the nearest officer. "How are they doing this?" "Unknown, sir. Our shields are at full power, but their weapons are ignoring them completely." What the aliens didn't understand was that human weapons had been designed by the Void Runners specifically to counter Federation technology. The Void Runners had fought the Federation for thousands of years before their extinction. They knew every weakness, every flaw, every way to bypass Federation defenses. Captain Boram's ship, Soul's Dream, revealed its true nature as panels slid away to expose hidden weapon systems. Her harmless patrol vessel began firing shots that punched holes through the alien ship's armor like it was paper. "This is for every world you've conquered," she said as her weapons tore into the enemy's weapon systems. "This is for every species you've enslaved." Lieutenant Hae-jin led her fighter squadron in attack runs that defied physics. Her ships would phase out of normal space, fly through the solid hull of the alien vessel, then phase back inside the ship to attack from within. Federation point defense systems couldn't track targets that existed in multiple dimensions at once. "Ghost Squadron to all ships," she reported. "Internal attacks are successful. Enemy weapon systems are going offline throughout the ship." The Federation crew tried desperately to adapt to weapons and tactics they had never encountered. Their return fire was powerful enough to destroy planets, but it couldn't hit targets that weren't always there. The Wraith ships would appear, fire, then vanish before the aliens could lock onto them. "Status report," Velthar demanded. "Weapons down to 60%. Shields are useless against their attacks. Hull breaches on 17 decks," the damage control officer replied. "Sir, we need to retreat." "No," Velthar shouted. "Send the signal to the backup fleet. Tell them to jump in immediately." Admiral Taeho was monitoring the battle from Luna Station when his sensors detected new ships approaching. "Multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace," he reported to the fleet. 12 Federation vessels, heavy cruiser class. "Perfect," Admiral Seung-min replied from his flagship. "We were hoping they'd bring friends." The Federation backup fleet arrived expecting to rescue the Sovereign's Pride from a handful of primitive human ships. Instead, they jumped directly into the middle of humanity's trap. What they found waiting for them was 37 advanced warships using technology that had been designed to kill Federation vessels. Captain Donghyun's hidden weapon. Platforms throughout the solar system opened fire on the new arrivals. The aliens suddenly realized they weren't just fighting ships. The entire solar system had been turned into a weapon aimed at them. "Impossible," the commander of the backup fleet broadcast. "How many ships do these humans have?" "Not ships," Dr. Mi-young's voice replied over the communication channel. "We turned our entire star system into a fortress. Every asteroid, every satellite, every piece of space debris has been weaponized. Welcome to our home." The battle that followed was completely one-sided. The Federation ships were designed to fight enemies that used their own technology and tactics. Against the Void Runner-inspired human fleet, they were helpless. Their weapons couldn't hit targets that phased in and out of existence. Their shields couldn't stop attacks that came from inside their own hulls. Lieutenant Hae-jin flew her fighter directly through the bridge of one Federation cruiser, her ship's Void Runner technology allowing her to pass through solid matter. As she emerged on the other side, the cruiser's command center exploded from within. "Another one down," she reported. "These aliens really don't know how to fight something they can't see." Commander Jin-ae watched the battle from her secret base, coordinating attacks and monitoring Federation communications. The aliens were beginning to panic as their formations fell apart under attacks from impossible angles. "They're trying to retreat," she reported to Admiral Taeho. "Multiple ships are attempting to jump back to hyperspace." "Not today," Admiral Seung-min replied. He gave new orders to his fleet. "All ships deploy hyperspace inhibitors. Nothing leaves this system without our permission." The Federation ships found their escape routes blocked by human technology they didn't know existed. Hyperspace drives that should have carried them to safety simply refused to work. They were trapped in a star system that had become their graveyard. Captain Boram's soul's dream closed in on the crippled Sovereign's pride. The massive alien ship that had seemed so intimidating just hours ago was now a floating wreck, its weapons destroyed and its hull split open in dozens of places. Sovereign's pride, this is Captain Boram, she broadcast. Your ship is disabled and your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now and we might let you live. On the alien bridge, Velthar stared at the destruction around him. Half his crew was dead or injured. His ship was barely holding together. The backup fleet he had called for help was burning wreckage scattered across space. This is impossible, he whispered. How did primitives defeat the Federation's finest ships? President Hyun-woo was still aboard the alien vessel, now under guard by human marines who had teleported aboard using Void Runner transportation technology. He looked at Velthar with something like pity. We told you, he said. We learned from your enemies. The Void Runner spent thousands of years learning how to kill Federation ships. They got very good at it before you finally destroyed them. But their knowledge didn't die with them. They passed it on to us. The Federation will never accept this defeat, Velthar said desperately. They will send armadas. They will burn your world to ash. No, Dr. Mi-young's voice came over the ship's communication system. They won't, because this isn't just about Earth anymore. New signals appeared on the Federation sensors. Ships were approaching from all directions, but these weren't human vessels. They were ships from dozens of different species, all of them armed with weapons that looked suspiciously similar to human designs. Admiral Taeho's voice filled the bridge. Allow me to introduce Earth's new allies. The Centauri Republic, the Vegan Trade Union, the Sirius Colonial Alliance, and 15 other star systems that are tired of Federation bullying. Funny thing about oppressed people. When someone shows them how to fight back, they're very eager to learn. Velthar's face went pale as he realized the true scope of what was happening. This wasn't just a single world defending itself. This was a rebellion that had been brewing for decades, armed with technology that could defeat the Federation's most powerful weapons. Over the past month, President Hyun-woo explained, we've been sharing Void Runner technology with every species the Federation has conquered or threatened. Turns out when you give people the tools to defend themselves, they stop being afraid of their oppressors. Captain Boram's ship docked with the crippled Sovereign's pride. Human Marines, equipped with personal teleporters and phase shift armor, began boarding the ship to take prisoners and secure the vessel. This is impossible, Velthar repeated. The Federation has ruled for millennia. You cannot destroy us with one battle. You're right, Admiral Shung-min said as his ship came alongside the alien vessel. One battle won't destroy the Federation, but it will teach them an important lesson. The age of picking on weaker species is over. From now on, when you threaten someone, you'd better be ready for them to fight back. The last Federation ship in the system, a heavy cruiser that had been trying to escape, finally surrendered after Lieutenant Haijin's fighters disabled its engines. The battle was over. Humanity had won a complete victory without losing a single ship. But as the human fleet regrouped and began collecting prisoners, everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Federation would respond to this defeat, and when they did, they would face not just Earth but a galaxy full of former victims who were no longer afraid to fight. The age of Federation dominance was ending. The age of galactic freedom was about to begin. The surrender ceremony was set to begin in 1 hour. President Hyun-woo sat in his shuttle as it approached the massive alien ship, just as he had 3 days earlier. But this time everything was different. This time he wasn't coming to negotiate. He was coming to spring the trap that humanity had been preparing for 40 years. Luna Station, this is Shuttle 1, he said into his communicator. Beginning final approach to the target. Copy that, Shuttle 1, Admiral Taeho replied. All stations report ready. We are go for Phoenix Protocol. Phoenix Protocol was the code name for humanity's real response to the Federation's ultimatum. Like the mythical bird, Earth would appear to die only to rise again stronger than before. But first, the aliens had to believe they had won. On the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, Velthar watched the human shuttle approach with satisfaction. His crew was preparing for the ceremony, setting up cameras to record Earth's surrender for the Federation archives. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Sir, his tactical officer reported, We're detecting some unusual energy readings from various points in the system. Nothing threatening, probably just the humans trying to improve their sensor networks. Velthar barely listened. Primitives always try to upgrade their equipment when they encounter superior technology. Ignore it. Focus on the ceremony. What the tactical officer was actually detecting were 37 Wraith-class warships powering up their advanced systems. The ships were still cloaked and invisible, but their energy signatures were beginning to leak through as they prepared for combat. The alien sensors weren't advanced enough to recognize what they were seeing. In the asteroid belt, Commander Jin-A watched her screens as the final preparations were completed. "All Wraith ships report battle ready," she announced on the command channel. "Phantom protocol is fully operational." "Fleet positions?" Admiral Tejo asked. "Perfect. We have the alien ships surrounded, but they can't see us yet. When we decloak, they'll find themselves in the middle of our formation with no escape route." Admiral Seung-min stood on the bridge of his flagship. Inchin's wrath. Through the ship's advanced sensors, he could see the alien vessel clearly, even though his own ship was invisible to them. The Federation ship was impressive, but it was built for fighting large, slow targets. It was about to face something completely different. "All ships," he broadcast to his fleet, "remember your training. These aliens have been bullying smaller species for thousands of years. Today they learn what happens when they pick on someone who can fight back." President Hyun-woo's shuttle docked with the alien ship right on schedule. He walked through the same corridors as before, accompanied by the same security team. Everything looked exactly the same, but the atmosphere was different. The aliens seemed more relaxed, more confident. They truly believed the ceremony would end with Earth's surrender. "Welcome back, President Hyun-woo," Velthar said with a wide smile. "I trust you have made the right decision for your people." "We have given this a great deal of thought," President Hyun-woo replied carefully. "Earth is ready to respond to your ultimatum." "Excellent. The ceremony can begin immediately." They walked to the same huge meeting room as before. This time it was decorated with Federation banners and filled with alien dignitaries who had come to witness Earth's surrender. Cameras were positioned to record everything. The surrender documents were laid out on the table, ready for signing. President Hyun-woo sat down and picked up the ceremonial pen they had provided. He looked at the documents for a long moment as if reading them one final time. In reality, he was checking his watch. The attack would begin in exactly 30 seconds. "Before I sign," he said to Velthar, "I want to make sure I understand what this means for humanity." "Simple," Velthar replied. "Earth becomes a protectorate of the Galactic Federation. Your people work for us, your resources belong to us, and we protect you from threats. It is a good arrangement." President Hyun-woo nodded slowly. "I see. And what if we had chosen to refuse your offer?" Velthar's smile became colder. "Then your species would have been eliminated and your world given to a more cooperative people. But that is not necessary now. You have made the wise choice." "Actually," President Hyun-woo said, putting down the pen, "we have made a different choice entirely." Before Velthar could respond, President Hyun-woo pressed a small device hidden in his jacket. The signal it sent traveled instantly across the solar system, reaching every hidden human facility at the same time. Admiral Tejo received the signal at Luna Station. "Phoenix Protocol is active," he announced. "All units begin the attack." Across the solar system, space itself seemed to ripple and change. 37 Wraith-class warships began to decloak, their advanced stealth systems shutting down to reveal sleek, predatory vessels that looked nothing like any ship the Federation had ever seen. On the alien bridge, every alarm began screaming at once. The tactical officer stared at his screens in disbelief. "Sir, we have multiple contacts." "Unknown ship designs." "They're everywhere!" Velthar ran to the nearest viewing screen and felt his blood turn cold. The ships surrounding them were elegant and deadly, with curves and angles that hurt to look at. They didn't follow Federation design principles or even human patterns. They looked alien in a way that made his skin crawl. "Where did they come from?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. They just appeared. Sensors show 37 vessels, all heavily armed." Captain Boram's voice came over the Federation communication channels, broadcast from her ship Soul's Dream. But the voice was no longer that of a frightened patrol captain. It was cold, confident, and deadly. "Attention, Federation vessel," she said. "This is Captain Boram of the Terran Defense Force. You are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons immediately." "Terran Defense Force?" Velthar sputtered. What is that? Where are these ships from? President Hyunwoo smiled as alarms continued to sound around him. I'm sorry, Ambassador. I should have been more specific about our choice. Earth chooses to refuse your ultimatum. Earth chooses to defend itself. And Earth chooses to make sure you never threaten another world again. Velthar grabbed him by the arm. This is impossible! Your species doesn't have this technology. These ships are centuries beyond anything you should be able to build. You're right, President Hyunwoo said calmly. We didn't build this technology. We inherited it. From some friends of yours. Well, former friends. The Void Runners send their regards. The color drained from Velthar's face. The Void Runners are extinct. We destroyed them all centuries ago. You destroyed their civilization, President Hyunwoo corrected, but one of their ships crashed on Earth 40 years ago. The pilot lived long enough to tell us about you. He also gave us the tools we needed to defend ourselves. On the alien bridge, the captain was frantically trying to understand what was happening. Sir, these ships are using Void Runner technology. How is that possible? Admiral Sung-min's voice came over the communication channels from his flagship. Federation vessel, you have 10 seconds to power down your weapons. This is your only warning. Never, Velthar shouted into his communicator. We are the Galactic Federation. We do not surrender to primitives. 9 seconds. Admiral Seung-min replied calmly. The Federation captain began giving orders to his crew. Battle stations. Charge all weapons. Prepare to fight. 8 seconds. You are making a terrible mistake. Velthar broadcast to the human fleet. The Federation will send armadas to destroy your world. You cannot win. 7 seconds. Dr. Mi-young's voice joined the conversation from Luna Station. Actually, we already have one. Your ship is surrounded, your weapons are outmatched, and your shield frequencies are programmed into our targeting computers. You just don't know it yet. 6 seconds. The Federation crew worked frantically to prepare their ship for battle. But their weapons were designed to fight large, slow targets in open space. They had never faced anything like the Wraith ships that now surrounded them. 5 seconds. Lieutenant Haijin launched her fighter squadron from the nearest Wraith ship. Her small, fast fighters began moving in patterns that confused the alien targeting systems. They phased in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. 4 seconds. Captain Donghyun activated the hidden weapons platforms throughout the solar system. Suddenly, what the aliens had thought were simple research stations and communication. Satellites revealed themselves to be armed and extremely dangerous. 3 seconds. Commander Jin'e watched from her secret base as the trap closed completely. Every hidden weapon, every concealed ship, every secret installation that humanity had built over the past 20 years was now active and ready for battle. 2 seconds. President Hyunwoo looked directly at Velthar. 40 years ago, you destroyed the wrong species. Today, you learn what the survivors taught us. 1 second. The last thing Velthar saw before the shooting started was Admiral Seung-min's final message. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. Try to enjoy your stay. With 24 hours left until the deadline, Earth looked like a planet in panic. News broadcasts showed crowds of worried people gathering in cities. Government officials made speeches about difficult decisions and the need to consider all options. Military leaders appeared on television talking about Earth's defenses and how they were doing everything possible to protect the planet. The aliens intercepted all of these broadcasts. They saw exactly what they expected to see. A primitive world realizing it had no choice but to surrender. Velthar watched the human news from his quarters and felt very satisfied with himself. Fear is such a useful tool, he told his aide. Look how quickly they understand their situation. By tomorrow, Earth will be ours without firing another shot. What Velthar couldn't see were the encrypted messages hidden inside those same broadcasts. Every news report, every speech, every interview contained coded signals being sent to secret facilities across the solar system. The panic was real enough, but it wasn't the helpless panic of defeat. It was the focused energy of people preparing for the most important battle in human history. Captain Dong-hyun was busy with the final phase of his mission. His teams had spent the last day activating hidden systems throughout the solar system. Defense platforms that had been disguised as research stations were coming online. Weapon caches that had been hidden in asteroids for 20 years were powering up. Most importantly, the communication network that would coordinate humanity's real response was being tested and prepared. All systems check out, he reported to Admiral Tejo. Every hidden installation is ready. The aliens have no idea what's waiting for them. Any problems with the older systems? Admiral Tejo asked. Nothing we can't handle. 20 years is a long time to keep equipment in storage, but our engineers built everything to last. The weapons are just as deadly now as they were when we first hid them. Commander Jinne was running final tests on the Wraith fleet from her secret base in the asteroid belt. Through her screens, she could see 37 of the most advanced warships ever built by human hands. Each one was invisible to Federation sensors, equipped with weapons that could punch through any known defense, and capable of moving in ways that would confuse enemy targeting. Systems, fleet status report, she requested from Admiral Sung Min aboard the flagship. All ships operational and ready for combat, came the reply. Crews are rested and prepared. We've been drilling for this moment for years. The Federation won't know what hit them. The Wraith ships were humanity's greatest achievement and greatest secret. Built using technology from a crashed Void Runner vessel found 40 years ago, they represented everything the Federation feared most. The Void Runners had been the only species to ever truly threaten Federation dominance, and they had been extinct for centuries. Or so the Federation believed. Dr. Mi-young was in her laboratory, making final calculations about alien shield frequencies and weapon patterns. Her analysis of the weapon demonstration had given her everything she needed to plan the perfect counterattack. The Federation's technology was powerful, but it followed predictable rules. Human tactics, on the other hand, were built around chaos and unpredictability. The alien shields rotate through 7 different frequencies, she explained to Admiral Tejo over a secure connection. They probably think this makes them impossible to defeat. But if you know the pattern, you can time your shots to hit during the weak phases. Our weapons will punch right through. What about their targeting systems? Even worse for them. They're designed to track large, slow-moving targets that fight in formation. Fast, small ships that can change direction quickly will confuse their computers completely. And ships that can phase in and out of normal space. Their systems will think they're seeing ghosts. Admiral Tejo allowed himself a small smile. 40 years ago, when the crashed Void Runner ship had been found in the Pacific Ocean, most governments wanted to study it slowly and carefully. A few visionaries had argued for something different. Learn everything as fast as possible and prepare for the day when the ship's former enemies would come looking for Earth. Those visionaries had been right. The dying Void Runner pilot had used his last moments to warn humanity about the Galactic Federation. He had told them about the Federation's methods. Find primitive worlds, intimidate them with overwhelming force, then turn them into resource colonies. He had also given them something precious, the technology to fight back. President Hyunwoo was preparing for his return trip to the alien ship. In a few hours, he would shuttle back to the Sovereign's Pride to sign what the aliens thought were surrender documents. Instead, he would be giving the signal for humanity's real response to their ultimatum. Are you ready for this? Admiral Tejo asked him. I've been ready for 40 years, President Hyunwoo replied. Ever since I was a young officer and saw that crashed ship for the first time. Ever since I listened to that dying pilot tell us what was coming. This is what we've been preparing for since before I was elected. The timing has to be perfect. You need to be off that ship before we spring the trap. Don't worry about me. When I give the signal, you start the attack whether I'm clear or not. Earth is more important than any one person, even if that person is the president. Lieutenant Heejin was doing final checks on her fighter squadron. Her ships looked nothing like the human fighters the aliens had seen. Sleek and deadly, they had been built using Void Runner technology and armed with weapons that could phase through solid matter before exploding inside their targets. Squadron ready for launch, she reported. All pilots briefed and prepared. We know our targets and our mission. Remember, Commander Jinne told her, the goal isn't just to win. It's to win so completely that the Federation never thinks about threatening Earth again. Make it clear that humans are not prey. Captain Boram was making her final patrol runs around the alien ship, still pretending to be just another scared human doing routine security sweeps. Her ship Soul's Dream looked small and harmless next to the massive Federation vessel. The aliens barely bothered to track her movements anymore. What they didn't know was that Soul's Dream wasn't the patrol ship it appeared to be. Hidden beneath false hull plating and disguised as navigation equipment, it carried some of the most advanced weapons in human space. When the time came, Boram's harmless patrol ship would prove to be one of the deadliest surprises in the battle. Final. Sweep complete, she reported on the standard communication channel that she knew the aliens were monitoring. No unusual activity detected. Returning to base. On the encrypted channel that the aliens couldn't hear, her message was different. Target analysis complete. I have firing solutions for all major weapon systems and shield generators. Ready to begin attack run on your signal. The hours ticked by. Across human space, thousands of people made final preparations for a battle that would determine the future of their species. Some were military personnel who had trained for years for this moment. Others were civilians who had never fired a weapon, but understood that their survival depended on the success of the hidden fleet. In the asteroid belt, weapons that had waited in darkness for 20 years were finally seeing light. On Mars, manufacturing facilities that had been disguised as mining operations were producing the last ammunition needed for the coming fight. Throughout the outer planets, bases that officially didn't exist were coordinating the most complex military operation in human history. Velthar spent his evening reviewing the surrender ceremony that would take place the next day. Everything was planned perfectly. The human president would arrive, sign the documents, and Earth would officially become another Federation colony. Simple, clean, and profitable. He looked out at the small human ships patrolling around his vessel and felt nothing but contempt. How could such a weak species have survived long enough to develop space travel? Tomorrow they would learn to be useful under Federation guidance. Their independence was ending, but they would at least be allowed to live. What Velthar couldn't see was the countdown timer in Admiral Tejo's command center. 18 hours until the ceremony. 18 hours until humanity's real military revealed itself to the galaxy. The Federation had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that a young species like humanity couldn't possibly have advanced technology or effective weapons. They had never considered that Earth might have been preparing for this encounter for decades. They had never imagined that their greatest enemies, the Void Runners, had left humanity a gift that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Tomorrow, they would learn the truth. Tomorrow, the hunters would become the hunted. Velthar stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking down at Earth through the main viewing screen. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful, so defenseless. He decided it was time to show the humans what real power looked like. "Captain," he said to his ship's commander, "prepare the main guns. I want to give our new friends a demonstration they will never forget." The alien captain smiled and began giving orders. "Target the old space station in Sector 7. The humans call it Independence Station. It's been abandoned for years, so destroying it won't kill anyone. Just scare them." President Hyunwoo was back on Earth, sitting in his office with his top advisors. They watched the alien ship through satellites, knowing exactly what was about to happen. Admiral Tejo sat across from him, while Dr. Mi-young worked at her computer nearby. "They're charging their weapons," Dr. Mi-young reported. "Looks like they're targeting Independence Station." "Perfect," Admiral Tejo said. "That old station has been loaded with sensors for 20 years. When they destroy it, we'll get readings on their weapons that they never imagined we could collect." "Are our people ready to act surprised and scared?" President Hyunwoo asked. "The news crews are already in position," Admiral Tejo replied. "When that station explodes, the whole world will see it, and we'll all look properly terrified." On the alien ship, Velthar gave the order, "Fire." The Sovereign's Pride unleashed a barrage of plasma beams that lit up space like a small sun. The beam struck Independence Station and completely vaporized it in less than 3 seconds. Where the station had been, there was now only empty space and glowing particles. Across Earth, people watched the demonstration on their screens. They saw the incredible power of the alien weapons. They saw how easily the massive ship had destroyed something humans had built. The reaction was exactly what Velthar wanted to see: fear, shock, and the understanding that resistance was hopeless. What Velthar didn't see was the dozens of hidden sensor stations throughout the solar system recording every detail of the weapon discharge. He didn't see Dr. Mi-young's computers analyzing the plasma frequencies and energy patterns. He didn't see the data being sent to secret facilities where humans had been preparing for this day for decades. "Excellent readings," Dr. Mi-young whispered to her team. "Their weapons are powerful but simple. Standard plasma technology, just scaled up. We can counter this." Admiral Tejo received a coded message on his private communication device. He read it quickly and smiled. "Phase 2 is ready to begin. All stations report green lights. Captain Boram was still flying patrol missions around Earth, but now she had new orders. Her small ship began what looked like routine scans of the alien vessel, staying far enough away to avoid suspicion. What the aliens didn't know was that her ship was equipped with sensors they had never seen before. Soul's Dream to Luna Station, she reported on an encrypted channel. I'm getting detailed scans of their hull composition, internal structure, and power distribution. These aliens really don't believe we're smart enough to learn anything dangerous. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, something was waking up. Commander Jinne sat in a control room that officially didn't exist, watching as automated systems came online for the first time in years. The room was part of a secret base built inside a large asteroid, completely hidden from any outside observer. Phantom Protocol is now active, she reported to Admiral Tae-ho. All units are responding. We are go for final phase. How many ships? Admiral Tae-ho asked. 37 Wraith-class vessels, all fully operational, plus support craft and defense platforms. Everything we've built over the past 20 years is ready. Admiral Tae-ho felt a moment of pride. 20 years ago, most people thought the Phantom Protocol project was impossible. Building a secret fleet of advanced warships without anyone noticing seemed crazy. But they had done it, using technology that the Federation didn't even know existed. Back on the alien ship, Velthar was reviewing reports from his intelligence officers. What have you learned about human military capabilities? He asked. Primitive missiles, basic energy weapons, simple defensive shields, the intelligence officer reported. Nothing that could threaten even our smallest escort ships. They have perhaps 200 vessels total, mostly small patrol craft and cargo ships. Velthar nodded with satisfaction. And their industrial capacity? Limited. They build ships slowly and in small numbers. It would take them decades to create a fleet that could even slightly inconvenience us. What the intelligence officer didn't know was that human ships weren't built in the shipyards the aliens could see. The real fleet had been constructed in secret facilities scattered throughout the outer solar system, using materials mined from asteroids and powered by fusion reactors hidden in the darkness between planets. Dr. Mi Young was working late in her laboratory, analyzing the data from the alien weapon demonstration. Her screens showed complex calculations about plasma flow, energy frequencies, and shield interactions. After hours of work, she finally had what she needed. Admiral, she called Tae-ho on a secure line. I've got good news and bad news about their weapons. Give me both, Admiral Tae-ho replied. Bad news first. Those plasma cannons really are incredibly powerful. A direct hit would destroy any ship in our regular fleet instantly. Good news is that their weapons follow very predictable patterns. They charge up slowly, fire in straight lines, and have a long cooldown period between shots. Against normal targets, that's fine. Against something that can change position quickly, they're almost useless. Can our Wraith ships avoid them? Easily. The Wraith ships don't just move fast, they can phase in and out of normal space. The aliens will be shooting at targets that aren't always there to be hit. Admiral Tae-ho smiled. The Wraith ships were humanity's greatest secret, built using technology recovered from a crashed alien vessel 40 years ago. But these weren't Federation aliens. They were something else, something the Federation feared. Something that had been at war with the Federation for thousands of years before going. Extinct Captain Dong Hyun was leading a team of specialists on what looked like a routine inspection of human defense satellites. In reality, they were activating weapon systems that had been hidden for decades. Each satellite contained not just sensors and communications equipment, but also advanced weapons that could fire without warning. All defense grids are online, he reported to Commander Jinne. The aliens think they're looking at primitive early warning systems. They have no idea they're surrounded by weapons that could cut their ship in half. The countdown was now at 48 hours. In 2 days, President Hyun-woo would return to the alien ship to sign the surrender documents. But surrender was the last thing on anyone's mind. Admiral Seung-min sat aboard the flagship of the Wraith fleet, a sleek vessel called Incheon's Wrath. Unlike human ships the aliens had seen, this one looked nothing like human technology. It was built using design principles from the extinct Void Runners, the Federation's ancient enemies. The ship could become invisible, phase through solid matter, and strike from impossible angles. All ships report ready, he told Admiral Tae-ho. We're waiting for your signal. Soon, Admiral Tae-ho replied. Let them think they've won right up until the moment we show them the truth. Lieutenant Hyojin was doing final checks on her fighter craft, another piece of technology the Federation had never seen. Her ship was small and fast, but it carried weapons that could punch through the heaviest alien armor. Like all the Wraith technology, it had been built using principles learned from the Void Runners. "Test flight complete," she reported. "All systems green. Ready for combat operations." Velthar was in his quarters, already writing his victory report to the Federation Council. "Earth pacification proceeding ahead of schedule," he wrote. "Human resistance minimal. Expect full surrender within 72 hours. Recommend fast processing to Protectorate status to begin resource extraction immediately." He had no idea that every word he wrote was being intercepted by human intelligence systems. He had no idea that his helpless targets were reading his mail, tracking his ships, and preparing the biggest surprise in galactic history. The trap was almost ready. In 24 hours, the Federation would learn that some prey had teeth. The massive alien ship dropped out of space like a falling mountain. It was so big that it blocked out the stars behind it. 5 kilometers long and covered in weapons, the ship looked like death itself had come to visit Earth. Captain Boram sat in her small patrol ship and stared at the monster in front of her. Her hands shook a little as she grabbed the radio. "Luna Station, this is Sol's Dream. We have a problem. A very big problem." On Luna Station, Admiral Tejo looked at the screen showing the alien ship. He had been expecting this day for 40 years, but seeing it happen still made his heart race. The ship was exactly what they had been told to expect. Big, scary, and full of weapons meant to make humans afraid. "Send the message to Earth," Admiral Tejo told his officer. "Tell President Hyunwoo that our visitors have arrived." Inside the alien ship, Ambassador Velthar walked onto the bridge with a smile on his face. He was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. His species, the Altanians, had been conquering worlds for thousands of years. Earth would be just another easy victory. "Look at their tiny ships," Velthar said to his captain. "They are like insects next to us. This will be over quickly." The alien captain nodded. "Should we destroy a few of their ships to show them we mean business?" "Not yet," Velthar replied. "First, let them see our power. Let them understand how small they are. Fear works better than violence when you want someone to surrender." Back on Earth, President Hyunwoo sat in his office reading reports about the alien ship. Dr. Mi-young, his science advisor, stood next to him with a tablet full of data. "The ship is incredible," Dr. Mi-young said. "Their weapons could destroy our biggest cities in seconds. Their shields are stronger than anything we have ever seen. This technology is hundreds of years ahead of us." President Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "That's what we want them to think." "Are our people ready?" Admiral Tejo says yes. "Everything is in place. We just need to play our part and look scared." President Hyunwoo smiled. "After 40 years of waiting, I think we can manage to look scared for a few days." The alien ship sent a message to Earth. The voice was cold and proud. "Humans of Earth, I am Ambassador Velthar of the Galactic Federation. Your world has been chosen to join our great empire. You will send your leaders to our ship for negotiations. You have 12 hours to comply." President Hyunwoo looked at his advisors. "Well, gentlemen and ladies, it's time to put on a show. Dr. Mi-young, I want you to analyze everything about that ship. Every weapon, every shield, every piece of technology. Admiral Tejo, start moving our regular fleet into defensive positions. Make it look like we're trying to protect Earth with what we have." "What about the real fleet?" Dr. Mi-young asked quietly. "They stay hidden," President Hyunwoo replied. "The aliens need to believe we are helpless. Let them think their big ship makes them gods." 12 hours later, President Hyunwoo's shuttle approached the alien ship. The shuttle was small and looked fragile next to the massive alien vessel. Inside the shuttle, President Hyunwoo sat with his security team, all of them playing their roles perfectly. They looked nervous and scared, like people facing something too big to fight. Captain Boram piloted the shuttle into the alien ship's landing bay. The bay was huge, big enough to hold 100 human ships. Alien soldiers waited for them, tall and intimidating in their armor. Velthar met them at the entrance to the ship. He looked down at President Hyunwoo with obvious satisfaction. "Welcome aboard the Sovereign's Pride, humans. I trust you are impressed by what you see." President Hyunwoo looked around the ship with wide eyes, playing the part of a leader overwhelmed by superior technology. "It's incredible. We had no idea such ships existed." "Of course you didn't," Velthar said with a laugh. "Your species is young and primitive. But do not worry. Under Federation guidance, you will learn to be useful. They walked through corridors lined with advanced technology. Alien crew members stopped to stare at the humans, most of them looking amused by these primitive visitors. President Hyunwoo's team recorded everything with hidden cameras, gathering intelligence while pretending to be tourists. The meeting room was as big as a football field. Holographic displays showed star maps of Federation territory, hundreds of worlds under alien control. Velthar gestured to the displays with pride. The Federation controls this entire section of the galaxy, he said. Thousands of worlds, billions of beings, all working together under our guidance. Today, Earth joins this great empire. President Hyunwoo sat down at the negotiation table. What exactly does joining mean for us? Velthar's smile grew wider. Simple. Earth will provide 70% of its resources to the Federation. Your military will be disbanded. Your government will report to Federation governors. Your people will work in jobs we assign them. In return, we will protect you and guide your development. And if we refuse? President Hyunwoo asked. Velthar gestured to the weapons displays around the room. Look around you, human. Your entire planet could not scratch the paint on one Federation ship. Refusal is not an option. It is surrender or it is destruction. Choose wisely. President Hyunwoo pretended to think hard about the decision. Inside, he was counting the weapons he could see, memorizing the ship's layout and noting how confident the aliens were. They truly believed humans were helpless. This is a big decision, President Hyunwoo finally said. I need to return to Earth and discuss this with our leaders. How long do we have? 72 hours, Velthar replied. That should be more than enough time to make the only sensible choice. When you return, you will sign the surrender documents and Earth will officially become a Federation protectorate. As President Hyunwoo's shuttle left the alien ship, Dr. Mi Young worked frantically at her computers. Every scan, every sensor reading, every piece of data about the alien ship was being analyzed and stored. The aliens had been so confident that they hadn't even bothered to block human sensors. How did we do? Admiral Taeho asked over the radio. Perfect, President Hyunwoo replied. They think we're primitives who can't even imagine fighting them. Dr. Mi Young, did you get what you need? Everything, she replied. Their shield frequencies, weapon cycles, power sources, everything. These aliens are powerful, but they're not creative. Their technology follows very predictable patterns. Good, President Hyunwoo said. Admiral, begin Phase 2. It's time to wake up our real defenses. On the alien ship, Velthar watched the human shuttle disappear toward Earth. He was already writing his report to the Federation Council about humanity's inevitable surrender. Another world conquered without firing a shot. Another primitive species added to the Federation's empire. He had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for 40 years. He had no idea about the hidden ships waiting in the darkness. Most importantly, he had no idea that humans had learned about the Federation long ago from their greatest enemies. The trap was set. Now it was time to spring it.